if I want to hire you in Savage Lands and tell you, come with us, fight with us for the climate, I will promise you, you will maybe begin to see results in 50 years.
Yeah.
Maybe. With biodiversity, I can promise you will see results next year.
Mm-hmm.
Measurable with scientists.
Sylvain of Savage Lands, how are you doing? We've just passed the holiday season. I don't know how important that is for you, but it does allow us to look back on a crazy year for you and look ahead to 2025. So, but before we do that, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good. The holiday season is the opportunity to gain some weight. Family
Yes,
dinner.
I'm successful at that.
Yeah, unfortunately, me too now. But yeah, it's always pretty tiring time of the year,
Mm-hmm.
and also getting ready to jump in the next one, and everything comes so quickly. So you have to be ready in January.
Yeah, no, for sure, for sure. I mean, this has been. I mean, you're obviously a very experienced person. Your career didn't start a year ago, but even for you, this must have been a pretty extremely wild year, given that everything that happened with Savage Lands. So let's look back a little bit. I know to preface, and I'll let you, tell me if I'm wrong, but for those that are new to Savage Lands watching this interview, but I assume that many that are watching today have some idea of what Savage Land is. But Savage Land is an ecological activism organization that raises awareness and funds to buy back lands, predominantly in Costa Rica, to make sure that we can safeguard
Everywhere now.
the ecosystem. Oh, fantastic, fantastic, fantastic. So this is obviously not a quote unquote regular band interview that we're going to have today. You started on this journey together with Dirk to start this project, and all of a sudden, supported by many people, by also labels, Season of Mist, Hellfest obviously start to support you guys as well. A lot of attention all of a sudden. So if I ask you today, if you look back at 2024, I don't know what your goals were at the start of 2024, but looking back, have you achieved your goals for 2025? 2024, sorry?
I'm not that kind of guy. Always want to do more. That's damnation, I guess. But no, we come a long way. And when I talk to Dirk, I mean, you mentioned him is Megadeth drummer, but back in the days we were playing together in France,
Mm-hmm.
and a long time ago. I don't even want to mention the date, but yeah, we started that having an idea that the metal community could be a very good, let's call it a target. I don't like the name, but
Yeah.
but I think it's a great audience because metalheads, they're not just consuming music, they're playing in a band,
Mm-hmm.
organizing concerts. They're really active, so they're used to doing things. And yeah, I mean, we didn't think it would go that fast. We
Right.
hope it's a good recipe because we both were already involved in the environmental movement. I started in the late 80s, so, and I must say, I as many environmentalists, I had mostly failure more
Yeah.
than success, Otherwise, we wouldn't be here yet, again. But yeah, we kind of have the idea that being legit in the music and in the environment for different reasons could be a new recipe.
Mm-hmm.
And but yeah, you're right. I mean, we have a lot of pressure now because yeah, it goes fast, and but man, it's so motivating, and I don't sleep much, but I'm ready. I'm ready.
Yeah. you say you want to bring together the artistic side and the activism side. How important for you is that artistic side, if at all? Because usually, every band that I interview has a message. And, some of those messages are more serious than others. But at the end of the day, every artist has something to say. And most artists will say like, hey, and if people don't care for the message and they just like the music, that's fine. But for Savage Lands, that feels different. How important for you is the music? Because the message seems to be the most important thing.
Yeah, well, it's a very complex question, but to sum it up, I think music has the ability to bring people together that might not be together in life. Some right-wing people with some left-wing people, but the emotions, they're universal, and I think that that's a deep belief that I have. At least in Europe, we are focusing on the wrong side of the environmental issues. We talk about the CO2, we talk about drive less, consume less, eat this, don't eat that. And it's very technical. And I think the problem is not technical. I mean, part of the problem, of course, is technical, but it's more a philosophical problem that we have, that we are not connected with nature and we don't really find our place in this biosphere. And I think music has the ability to bring emotions without telling people what to do. And that's what we got as a feedback after the Hellfest concert. We had huge backdrops with images that were displaying. It's not messages like do this, do that. It's more like emotions, images, forest, animals and stuff. And people came to me and say, oh, that's the first time that we get a message that is not aggressive or dictatorial, like, do this, do that, but more something that grabs you here and makes you want to jump on board and help, and that's exactly what music is capable of, I think. I think we can use this as a message, even without a message, like maybe the melodics and the melancholy in some songs and the raw power in others, it creates some feelings.
The show at Hellfest that you now mentioned, that was obviously a highlight in the year for Savage Lands. They've also made the promise to support Savage Lands for the next few years, which is really, really great to see. And we're talking about feeling the message, but you are also competing on a festival as well. Let's be honest, many people that went to your show will mostly remember partying to Roots, during that set, right? And that's just the reality of competing against the artistic hits and nostalgia feelings and what have you. Is that also an angle that you are keeping in mind, like, hey, trying to bring you said, the music, the melodies that we make, they need to kind of, get people connected with an emotion. Nostalgia is an extremely powerful emotion. It's great to see people like Andreas on board with the project, but is that something that is that a lesson that you've learned, that, hey, the power of recognition is really strong, and should we expect in 2025 or later to see more of those kinds of collaborations?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, for the audience, so that they understand, we are, first of all, we are a non-profit organization.
Yeah.
That is strongly rooted in the metal scene, because of course Dirk is a well acclaimed drummer and personality, So, but we are a non-profit, and actually the band that we use for that non-profit is not signed by the label. The non-profit is signed by the label. So that's probably the first time we're inventing something here, because every time you buy a record, you listen to whatever platform, it's not a lot of money, but 100% of the money goes to the nonprofit. And this is new. So that's the first thing I want people to know, because of course there's a core members that gives us the ability to write songs and have some material and then invite people on board. It's not just a super group, because a super group is complex, because everyone's busy and it's hard to gather everyone at the same time, the same place. It's more like Savage Land is a place where people can come and express through music their support to the biodiversity in the forest. So yes, in that way, we want to do that again. But what I wanted people to know is that when they will see Savage Lands on stage, it will not be a band promoting an album. If we play live, it is because there is a deal, a collaboration with the festival or the venue and the nonprofit. It's not a band that is going to tour. We're going to play only if it brings something real on the field, in the forest, and on the biodiversity. So that means that people can come and see us. I mean, of course, it's better if they like the music we play, but even if they are not huge fans, we're not competing with other bands. It's just a concept. So people will come and they show that they are supporting the concept. And that's why it's important that we have those images on the big screens, because we don't want to be seen as musicians that want to show off and show themselves. We want people to listen to the music, but more than all, it's the show of the nonprofit. And of course, you mentioned roots. I mean, it's the best song for us. We're planting trees, and I say in French, how do you say roots in French? English, I always mix up, and then people say roots, and then we start the song. After the album, we will continue to release songs. I'm actually going to the NAM in January, and we're working on new songs with Dirk. I'm already in touch with different people like Bill from Mastodon, and many people are willing to participate. And I think that's the concept, like artists doing their part, audience doing their part, our collaboration with other nonprofit doing their part on the field. And what we're doing is basically creating a movement. It's not political in the caricatural way of thinking it, but it's a movement.
For you, how is it for yourself to keep the balance, if you will, like with being, is your focus going to be predominantly to continue to shepherd the artistic side of things, or would you like to be more engaged in the field yourself with the teams that you're supporting with the monetary funds? Because it's like the more popular, or the popular is a bad word maybe, or not the right word in this conversation, but as there is a bigger understanding and more interest in support by different venues and festivals and what have you, that expectation or demand for more material, more collaboration, more singles, and maybe more albums in the future is going to be there. That will automatically take time away for you, because you can't cut yourself in half of the field. Like, is that a hard balance for you?
No, because first of all, we are building a team right now. We opened our nonprofit is based in California. It's a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and now we opened the European branch, and I have local partners that are really experimented. So if you grow, you get more people in the team, and it's gonna actually get easier. But if you ask me if I would have to choose between doing only the music or only the environmental part, I would go for the environment, because that's why I created it. I did music already when I was in my 20s and 30s, and I stopped, and I know why I stopped. I still love the music. I mean, the process, having people, the creation and stuff, but going on tour, I know I'm not going to do it. So it's never going to take so much time. And we're not going to, I mean, unless it's really useful for the cause, and if it shows results, yeah, maybe we do it. But the primary goal is the results, and inspire people to do their own shit too, and we can support them too. That's the idea. But first, the environment.
We are, and just to kind of make it very clear where I stand, unfortunately, in a world where there's a rise of right-wing populism all over the world, in Europe, in North America, in South America, everywhere. And we seem to be in the world more and more where maybe even more than half the population doesn't feel like issues are important or as significant as they truly are. And you said, like, I have to keep doing this. There's a quote, I forget the exact quote, but it's something like, an activism knows he starts a fight that he will lose, or something like that, over and over again. Yeah. What's that like for you? I mean, it's great to see the response and to see the Hellfest crowd react, which is great. But we also know, based on a lot of election results everywhere in the world, that a lot of people think climate change is a hoax and that activists are attention-seeking hypocrites. For you, who lives this life every day, does that give you more fuel to keep fighting, or is that becoming harder and harder to overcome that pushback, if you will?
Well, first of all, the motivation is here. I mean, it's not the result, it's why you're doing it. Of course, I would love to make sure that I will get results, but I'm not going to stop anyway, because that's something you have inside. I do it for so long now, I don't even know if I could forget about it. It's impossible. Yeah. And then there's different types of fuel, like recently I got death threats, like really serious ones. And it could be scary, but it also shows that you have power.
Right.
And I read a book recently, and it's kind of a sociological study. And it seems like you only need 3 to 10% of a population fighting for the same idea to make this idea become, I don't know the name in English, but
a possibility, a reality.
Yeah, like people would take this idea because that's a trend that is coming, and you can't stop it, So actually, you don't need to convince everyone. And why we choose the forest and the biodiversity versus climate and CO2 and everything. If I want to hire you in savage lands and tell you, come with us, fight with us for the climate, I will promise you will maybe begin to see results in 50 years.
Yeah.
Maybe. With biodiversity, I can promise you will see results next year. Measurable with scientists, and everyone knows that during the COVID, we saw birds and animals coming back in the cities,
Yeah.
So, and biodiversity is the best entrance door to a better understanding, much better than CO2. So I think I don't have a big hope. I'm pretty pessimistic because the situation is serious, and we're facing a global collapse. We lost in Costa Rica. We have approximately 5% of the world's biodiversity. Okay, but those 5%, it's like types of species. But per species, the amount of individuals per species, we lost close to 90%. So that means we still have the diversity, but the amount is really thin. And this is even more threatening than climate change. This could kill us in the next 5 years. You can imagine whatever, because when there is a collapse like this, you could have also a rise of a very destructive species that ruin our crops, or So it's a fight that is worth fighting. And the good thing is that you will see results, and results are motivating more people to get on board. So That's the part where I'm getting a bit optimistic.
To fuel that optimism and to maybe spread some of that optimism. So, although you focus on a number of different areas in the world now, the situation with the loss of rainforest in Costa Rica was maybe the catalyst for Savage Lands to get created. Costa Rica is a beautiful country. It's a lot of people want to go on vacation to Costa Rica, which is the reason also why forests have been teared down to put more properties up.
Well,
I went to Costa Rica on my honeymoon. I did. And so I know there's many people that want to go and visit places like Costa Rica. So for people like myself, that would like to visit these countries, what is your guidance to them? What can people do? That Costa Rica also relies for a large part on tourism industry and whatnot. So how can people like myself do better to support the right things?
That's a very good question, because, Costa Rica in the 80s went down to only 20% of forests in the country. And before COVID, we went up to 53% of forest, including 25% of the country in national parks. Who did finance that? For the biggest part, people who came, tourism. So you cannot compare the CO2 of the plane coming to Costa Rica to bring some guy who wants to see forest and animal, and the CO2 of a guy going to Dubai to buy things in a fucking commercial center.
Right.
It's not fair to compare those two things. What does it mean? It means that the political choices are important. Then you're right, the behavior of the tourist. Now we have a problem in Costa Rica because it became fancy, and there is a huge speculation for real estate. And now we have people that come to Costa Rica, like right now we have those big electronic music festivals, 5 days in a row, and they call it, let's make the jungle alive. No, man. 5 days in a row from 10 in the morning to 6 the next morning, 5 days, you're killing the animals. So just being aware of that. And when you come as a tourist, don't complain because there is an ant in your bungalow, because the ant is important for maybe the bird that you're going to take a picture of the day after. Just try to understand that. And also don't expect something standardized. That kills everything. That kills the culture. When you want to find the same decoration, the same comfort, then don't travel. So my advice is, don't go to all-inclusive big resorts. Try to connect with places that are in love with nature and who talk about it, and talk to people. Costa Rican people are so nice. Just try to understand, and try to bring something positive. And if you buy a property there, I see many people doing that. Some people, they buy a property, first thing they do, they cut the trees, put some lawn, 2 fucking palm trees on both sides of the pool. And you're like, why? Why did you come here? So if you buy a land there, grow a forest. You'll use less AC, you will hear the birds, and it's a treasure. So if you go there for the right reasons.
There you go. Go there for the right reasons. And for those that can't go for the right reasons just yet to Costa Rica, they can support you in many other ways. We'll put all the links to how you can continue to support Savage Lands in the description of the video for everybody that's watching this and that want to already support.
Supporting is, of course, the money is important, so people can donate. But people that can't donate, they still can make a lot of noise. They can put us on the playlist. They can spread the word. They can make some noise. A small band in France did their own crowdfunding for us. They got maybe $200. It's not important. The money is not big, but the gesture is great. So everyone can help, and that's our fuel. We're building the army of the trees.
There you go. Sylvain, thank you so much for guiding the Army of the Trees in the right direction, and
But Dirk,
I hope to see you
Dirk,
guys.
Dirk is also
Dirk, of course, it's not just yourself, but it's a whole team now. But it's great to see you guys taking the lead here and showing us some direction. Sylvain, I hope to see you on a stage soon. I was not able to attend your concert at Hellfest last year, but I'll keep my fingers crossed to be there next time you play. Thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. And I hope you can enjoy a little bit more of those last days of the holidays and be very full with family. But there's a lot of work for you in 2025. So
yeah.
I hope you find the energy right now.
You are awesome for watching this video. Click right here to see more content like it and subscribe to the channel.